Hi, David. How are you?
Hello.
Hi, my name is Jackie. I'm in
Yeah.
the Bronx, New York.
The Bronx. All right now. All right
Yeah.
now. So tell me about your new normal, love.
Well, I'm a professor at Fordham University,
Okay.
and I teach teachers actually who want to become school leaders.
Mm.
So until last week, I was teaching on campus, but as of Friday, I've been teaching using Zoom conferences and Blackboard and online services. So it's extremely different because we're very interactive in our class and we do a lot of collaborative projects. So, but the students have been so resilient. They are all teachers in New York City public schools for the most part, which is undergoing a tremendous shift.
Yeah.
I'm from Puerto Rico also. I'm from
Where?
Ponce.
Ponce. Ponce.
Yeah.
Ponce. What did they say to me the first time I got there? Ponce.
Ponce es Ponce.
Lore Mas is parking.
Yes, you got it.
That's what they told me. That's what they said.
You know, it's funny because it makes us seem really, really like snooty, but the reality is we're just a bunch of fun people.
Fun people, proud Ponceñans.
Yeah. La familia.
It was a police officer who said to me, and this was after Maria. I mean, we were right in the throes of things. And he took me off to the side, and I thought he was going to tell me something really serious. And he said, let me tell you, don't forget, it is an honor to be Puerto Rican, but it's a privilege to be from Ponce.
Yes. You know, and I also went to school. You know, I was born here, actually. Yeah. My parents took us back and forth for all summer vacations. So we had a bicultural experience growing up. Yep. Eventually, I went to the University of Puerto Rico in Rio Piedras, and I studied there. And when I finished my doctoral work, I did my study on the public school leadership of Puerto Rico public schools.
Wait, time out. Somebody just said, that's my mama.
Oh, really?
You have a kid watching this?
I have two sons. One is Daniel, Eli, and Daniel.
One of them might be watching. Anyway, can
cool.
I ask you? I have two questions for you. Number one, sure. I interviewed a 13-year-old girl who is studying from home. She goes to an arts academy in the Bronx, or in East Harlem, lives in the Bronx, and she said, I was more focused today. I applied myself more, and I got more done today at home than I would usually do in a day or two. So that's a statement. My question is this. Do you think, you know, de Blasio and others have said there's a chance the kids don't go back to school this school year, and there's a chance they don't go back for the calendar year, right? If that were to happen, do you think there's a way that forever changes how we teach kids? Like, in other words, do we go back to that system, which really hasn't changed for 75 years? Or do we maybe say we had to get everybody set up for this online thing, so why don't we just continue at that rate?
I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. My biggest concern would be equity.
Yeah.
Right now, we're struggling with access, right? We're struggling with the fact that we're trying to get everybody online to have this high quality experience in the middle of this crisis, but we're finding out that some of our kids don't have Wi-Fi,
right? Or
they have maybe one laptop at home and 5 kids, or they have, you know, adults that are working on their laptops, and it's just the high demand on their internet service. So there are a lot of issues there. There are a lot of issues with childcare in the midst of this, who's actually sitting with kids that can stay focused. A lot of the kids that are able to focus like that at home have a different level of support, whether it's from their parents or from their surrounding community. So that's the equity issue there. We also have the learning curve, not just for our kids, but for our teachers who've never taught online. So it is going to change education. I think it's given us whiplash. I was a middle school principal for 11 years before going to the university level. Right here in the Bronx, and I taught algebra right here in the Bronx, you know, to many students that were coming in from the Caribbean. And I could say that the learning curve just to differentiate instruction for the needs of students in one classroom is a huge deal. But imagine for a system of 1.3 million kids. And I've had the privilege of visiting hundreds of schools as the executive director for school quality for the entire city of New York. And it's so different. I mean, you can literally go from one school to another, like across the street, and find such different contexts, you know, from fully stocked resource labs and technology, you know, to the gazoo, to another school that's struggling to get 30 laptops that can roll around the building. So it's the same thing, except it'll be spread out to the communities and to homes. So I would say that the people that have the answer are the partners, like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and those huge corporations that can donate technology to underserved communities. Because if education is going to be the equalizer, then it has to be the equalizer everywhere.
Let me just clap for that answer, because I know a lot of people watching will clap for that answer. And that's a brilliant answer, because what I heard you say was, yes, this probably will change education fundamentally and forever, but we have to remember the context within the changes. This is changing the world. I mean, there are companies that are going to say, why do I need to pay $10,000 a month for that brick and mortar building when I got all my employees set up for 6 months of work and it went well? Well, I'm going to make them work from home. I mean, I have a story airing tomorrow on CBS This Morning. Every interview I did was from here. And so anyway, things will change, but that it's so important. I mean, it is so important to hear the context.
And I have to say that one of the things that people don't necessarily think about immediately, unless you're in the thick of this profession, and I love my profession, is the most beautiful, noble profession. I would do it all over again. I retired from the Department of Education after 34 years of service, and I keep teaching at the university because it's what I love to do. And I teach at my church. And
you're not that you don't look that old. Your numbers must be off.
Well, I started when I was 8.
Okay.
I started But the other thing is that we have students that have special needs.
Yeah.
We have students that have physical special needs, like motor skills. Speech pathologists work closely and physically closely with our students because they need modeling and they need reinforcements that can only come from that very specialized attention that our one-to-one service providers give them. We have students with language proficiency needs that come from all over the world to New York, and they have to speak English to be assessed in English. And those information sessions that they have, or those instructional sessions they have with teachers that are skilled at getting a student to pronounce things a certain way. It's a one-to-one. It's not something you can just translate into a video, send a kid home with it and expect that he's going to accomplish that task. So we can't assume that by saying that we've distributed 30,000 computers in New York City, that we've fixed the problem, because there are children that have the technology at home, but they can't do anything with it because that one-to-one support and the attention of a caring and loving teacher that has dedicated their time and energy into building their expertise to do that, they're not going to be there at home with them. And then you have parents that are strapped for time, then they may not necessarily have the same skill set as other parents to do the work because their capacity building has maybe gone into other things like raising their family and taking care of other financial challenges that they might have. So it's a huge, the reason New York City schools don't close as quickly as others is because when we shut down, we're shutting down for 1.3 million kids, 85,000 teachers, and 1,800 principals plus their teams. It's an entire world out here. Like, you can't just say, everybody go home and we're going to text you later. It's really multifaceted. But, you know, I met with my students today, and on the positive note, what I have to say is we have a bunch of resilient people working in our schools that still, you know, they've recorded their video. My daughter-in-law is a teacher, and she recorded her YouTube welcome video for her students today. And I saw it and brought tears to my eyes because she's talking to a camera, but she's saying, hey, I'm with you, you know, no matter what, every day I'm going to be online with you, and I'm going to talk to you, and I'm going to try to teach you through this camera. But it's not that interaction where I can say, hey, David, did you understand? Do you need more help? It's not that. It's disconnected. So although our kids are tech savvy, and even my 1-year-old granddaughter, which I do have, my beautiful granddaughter, she knows how to, like, she came to my house the other day. She's pressing the TV like she can swipe the big screen on my TV. She's 1, not even 1. She'll be 1 on Saturday. So, you know, we have a variety of learners, a variety of needs, and our kids are tech savvy, but there's nothing that could ever replace the relationship between a teacher and that student. You cannot replace it. You cannot supplant it. You cannot make believe that you've answered the call by giving a bunch of dollars and a bunch of devices. It's not going to happen, because at the core is a relationship. And people learn from people that they know, care about the fact that they learn.
But let me say this, and this will be a challenge for people like you. The intimacy of what you and I are sharing has led me to listen on the edge of my seat.
Wow.
My hope is that, yes, I hear what you're saying about that interaction, but I believe, and I've learned through 20 years of doing this, that we can bring an intimate, I hear you and what you're saying matters experience to this.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
so everybody's got a phone in their hand. I don't disagree with anything you say, but I do think there is a way to personalize this to where we can, because I know I'm ending this exchange with you feeling smarter than I came into it, right? And so every child has that ability too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, we had, when I was a principal, I had on my board, on my in my conference room, I had a question that said, what happens when, despite our best efforts, our kids don't get it? And the answer has to be, we're going to do whatever it takes. Amen. We have to do whatever it takes. And, you know, my hope is that the teachers that are coming through our program at Fordham University, a little plug, we have an amazing program for school leaders if they want to come to Fordham. I think the people that we bring through our programs, we say, you know, you may be the only bearers of hope for the kids in front of you. And so you can't give up, because you're that example, you're that motivator, you're the ones that can say, no matter what, we're going to get through this, we're going to go through this together, you will learn it. You're going to learn it at your pace, in your way, you'll demonstrate your capacity in your way. But at the end of the day, I'll be able to say, I think you've got it, you know, and we're going to be okay. But
I call that the aha moments. I call that the aha moments.
Yeah, and technology is definitely a help. It's a support. What I don't think everybody understands is that you can't just give it out and expect it to do something. There's still that personal touch that needs to be included there, and the reinforcement, because that social emotional piece that comes with learning. You know, just like the little boy that you just interviewed. What an amazing little boy, right?
Right.
And he had so much spark in him. And even though he's running outside for a little bit and coming back and he's scared, he's still trying to invent something. You know, that curiosity, I'm sure, is nurtured, not just by technology, but by his mom, who's sitting right next to him, telling him, right, you're saying the right things. She wasn't coaching him too much, but she's pushing him, you know? And so we all need that. And so hopefully, you know, we'll be able to combine those two understandings.
And it was important to me, and I'll end with this. I didn't want to not acknowledge him, because I thought the mother was on, but then it didn't seem like the mother wanted to talk.
No,
And I thought, don't dismiss him, because he's so young. And I wanted to engage him, and look what came out of that engagement.
Yep.
I mean, like the articulation.
and I really liked how you stopped to give him feedback about how he was engaging. You see, that's something that our kids need, because I watch our kids on technology. There's no feedback. There's just that thing, and they get points, and they get, you know, stars and stripes coming across the screen, but there's nobody saying, wow, I like the way you use that strategy. You know, I like the way you thought about that. I like the way you solved that by yourself. Or I like the way you asked for help, or you used another resource. There's nobody doing that. There's just, you know, you either win or you lose, and you get to the next level or you don't. That's what our kids are doing.
People are asking me what your at is. They want to follow you. What's your at on Instagram?
Bocapics, BOCAPICS.
There you go. You're going to have a few new followers.
Okay. I'm Bocachica is the family name. We're really proud. We're all from Ponce, you know. Basketball is in our name, and we have a cousin that's still in Ponce. He was an Olympian. He actually carried the flag for the Puerto Rican team in Rome in the early 60s. And so we have a lot of teachers in our family. My father's 3 sisters were teachers and principals in Puerto Rico. And there are a lot of teachers, and my mom's a retired teacher. I'm a retired teacher. We have educational assistants. We have my sister-in-law works with autistic children. My son works with District 75 special needs children. My daughter-in-law is a special educator. It's in our blood. It's in our family. It's a passion. We believe in this, you know, and every opportunity that we get, I think that our passion for that comes through. Not only that, but we're also in ministry at our church. And I remember I reached out to you, and I have to say this. Thank you so much. You have no idea that you did this, but I'll tell you now. During Hurricane Maria, we were devastated here. We did not know what to do. And I remember there was one day when I was just so broken because we had sent a lot of boxes of cajitas de amor. I don't know if you'll remember that, but I sent you something about our project, which was little boxes of love. And we were sending them all over Puerto Rico, and people were receiving them.
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, I sent you a long text because that day I was just so broken. And I was like, what else can we do? And you just, you know, you wrote back. And it was something short. But in the midst of, I'm looking at you in the rain in Puerto Rico, like in the water. And then I look at my Instagram and I see that you've actually taken time out to respond and to say, you know, we're doing everything we can. We're going into the, you know, countrysides or whatever. And I was like, wow, that's what we need. You know, just somebody that can tell us, even if they don't know us, that it's going to be okay. You know, and right now with the coronavirus, that's all we can do. You know, this is going to be tough. It's a challenge. It's hard. I told my students today in our class, it's an online class. And one gentleman just came back from Colombia. He says he used to complain about the city because it's so packed. He says, now I just want people. There's something about humanity that we can't just give up. And so I know that God's going to get us through this. You know, we have a favorite psalm that says he'll send angels to guard over us. And that's Psalm 91. When you get a chance, just read it. If you've never read it, I want to offer that to you as an appreciation for what you've done for Puerto Rico, because God sends angels to guard over us. And I believe that you, in a sense, have been that angel for a lot of people. And when we can't see what God...
Well, now that is a shame. Instagram cut me off with Jackie, who was being so kind and so informative. So if you were just watching, Instagram cut it off. I'm learning that as we do these lives, you can only go for so long. It looks like it's an hour. That's what I think it is, an hour. You have 1 hour on Instagram Live and then it cuts you off. So Jackie, if you are on Instagram, cut me off after an hour. So I apologize. And thank you for the kind words, and thank you for the context and the candor. Wow. If we could all have had, and I had some wonderful teachers, so let me not make it sound like I didn't have good teachers, but if everybody could have a moment of having a teacher like her, that was really something. So, okay, let's, forgive me just one moment. My team is actually, I'm putting together a story.